So I have to be official because we are recording this. Okay. Hello everyone and welcome to the e-learning gathering we are organizing within e-learning center. Today I'll be talking in English because the presentation is English, and this at this event we have also participants from the study visit we are organizing, so because of them we will have everything today in English. Today we had a very hard day having lots of presentations, and maybe we are a little bit tired now, but I think that this lecture will be the highlight of the day because we have asked to join us today enthusiastic and great lecturer with a very interesting topic. And I will leave the presentation of him to himself, to present himself, but today with us is Mr. Predrag Pale from the Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Computing at the University of Zagreb. He has been long time involved in ICT and how it can contribute to education. So today's topic is quite interesting because it says skilled teachers need in ICT-based environment. So Mr. Pale, please.
Thank you. Good day. Once again, my name is Predrag, which is not easy to pronounce each time. This lecture, as Sanda certainly told you and wrote about you, is a sequel. It is a continuation of last year's lecture, and your job was to watch the 1 hour of video that we made last year. Because one of the major rules in cognitive learning theory says that there's absolutely no point in continuing trying to teach someone before this person and this audience has already acquired previous knowledge. So if there is a gap, if you don't know something from last year, you won't be able to follow today. So my first job is to make exam, to see what have you learned from last year's lecture, which is, as you certainly do remember, that one, supporting educators to use in teaching. In the recording there was also a discussion, and you probably found yourself in this discussion. So what is your opinion? What is most important for teachers to receive as a support in order to use ICT? Everybody today expects us as teachers to use ICT in one way or another. And if we really want to do that, we do need some support. So what is your personal opinion and experience? What kind of support teachers or yourself need in order to use ICT in education? That's the question for everybody. Support? Support by the school board. Hey boss, hey principal, give me support. How? What does it mean? Money. Infrastructure. Goodwill. Whose time? Whose time? Principal's time or your time? Your time. You need time to do things, to learn, to prepare, to do extra work. You need equipment, infrastructure, you need money, and you need goodwill, which actually means the culture, the environment. If I'm doing something differently than others, then I would like that my principal says, look at this guy, he's great. And don't that everybody says, oh, he's a weirdo, don't talk to him, he's weird, he's funny, he's strange, he's dangerous. That's very important. Many times when I talk to the management of the university or somebody else, they would say, well, you see, I would like to support good teachers, good teaching methods, technology in education, but, you know, I don't have resources. My dean, a year ago, I think, during a lunch with some guests like you, said exactly that. You see, we have in a freshman's year, we have 10 groups of students, 10 parallel groups, and 10 teachers of basic math in Faculty of Electrical Engineering. By the end of the semester, all students move to one lecturer, and nobody goes to the others. But you see, says the dean, I don't have resources to award this guy. My first question was, and I would like to hear your answer, if this guy doesn't receive any award, is he going to teach worse next year? No. Okay. If you give him an award, will he teach better next year? Probably. Maybe. I would argue no, but okay. And then I asked, okay, you don't have resources. But tell me, what is stopping you from taking this person, please come here. Taking this person, when there's this, we have monthly collection of all teachers at the faculty. They have a faculty council and they make important decisions. So I told my dean, what is the problem with you in this meeting? Before the meeting officially starts, put to your right side this excellent teacher, you put your arm around his shoulder and say, my colleagues, I would like just to tell you that I would be more than happy if I could be such a teacher. What stops you from that? Thank you. And this is very important. I'm glad that you said this. This culture, obviously you are different. Being here for this topic, obviously you are different than your environment. And you know what I'm talking about. Being different is not always welcomed. It's very rare. There are very rare communities where somebody who is different and obviously avant-garde, the one who is leading ahead, is observed by others and saying, oh, what a great teacher she is. Oh, I would like to be like her. It's always, you know, that's her. She's doing something. Actually, she's actually trying to show us that we are not as good as her. Have you felt this? So, therefore, it's very important for people who lead educational institutions to give support, goodwill, environment, culture, atmosphere, the feeling, and saying, hey, this girl or this guy, they're not crazy. They're not troublemakers. They might be strange, but let's take a look at them and what they do. Can we repeat it? And there is also the role of the leadership. If the leader says, hey, girls and guys, I would like to see if I can do what she's doing. Let's try to see that. If the number one says, I would like to see what she's doing, I would like to see if I can do it that way, or at least half of that way, then all of a sudden the climate changes. And we forget this so many times. So yes, the money, yes, the resources, but it's even more important that the environment supports those who are going forward. I'm not saying that everything that we experiment in methods of teaching and technology of teaching is good. No, it's not. Most of the things is rubbish. Most of the things don't work. But we have to test them. And testing and being wrong and failing shouldn't be something wrong and bad. There's a great lecture on TED. Do you know for TED? TED.com? I forgot the name of the lady, but I do have a link. If you send me email. She was director of DARPA. You know what is DARPA? Defense Advanced Research Program, American. The one where internet was invented. This is the program where they develop advanced weapons. And one of the things they wanted to do is robust network, and that was the internet. So she was the director of DARPA. And she was, in this speech, you will see it's lovely, she was advocating that one of the most important things in science we need to do is to make scientists not afraid of making mistakes and failing. Exploring things that might fail. Doing things that might fail. Because this is how we learn. This is how humans learn. If we are afraid of making a mistake, then we will not go very far ahead. And the only one who can really create this atmosphere is the leadership. Because if the boss says, oh, you fail again, we don't want failures, just safe ways, then it's one thing. If the guy says, oh, what a crazy thing they tried, oh, it failed, by the way, but never mind, I'm looking for new ideas, then it's another game. So this is very important, support. Of course, we need money. Of course, we need education. Of course, we need our time. We need time to experiment. This is the general problem with e-learning in general, especially in companies. Lifelong learning. One of the major problems in lifelong learning is that when you come to me, I'm your boss, and you say, oh, by the way, can I receive a training? It's one-day training somewhere outside of Zagreb, and I say, okay, we don't have much money, but okay, I'll pay you. Then I don't expect you to do anything that day. You're traveling, you're away, you're in your education, right? But if you take e-learning course, and I say, yes, you can go to e-learning course, somehow, as a boss, I expect that you also do your job this day, and by the way, do the e-learning. The same thing is also, oh, she's doing great stuff, she's using multimedia in her lectures, but when did he prepare this? When did she do that? It takes time, and we tend to forget this. Okay. If anybody has actually watched that video, do you remember what I said at the end? If you don't get support, if nobody understands you, what do you do? Okay, you might want to look at least at the end of the series. Okay, here we are. Now, do teachers need new skills? Teaching is ancient old. People have been teaching youngsters, their offsprings, from the cave time, even before that. Schools are just another form of doing it. Teacher is a teacher, basically. So, regardless of what you use, how you use it, whether you use technology or not, teacher is a teacher. There is something substantial. I'm trying to figure out what it is for the past 12 years. So, do we really need new skills? Yes. Why? Why do we need new skills? To keep up? To keep up with the times. That sounds so nice, but I don't understand it. What means to keep up? To understand, to be informed? Aha. Okay. Okay, good. Let's stay with it. To be able to use whatever other people use in other areas, to use it also in education. Okay, what is another reason that you can think of? Why do we need new skills in teaching? To improve ourselves. What means improving oneself as a teacher? For instance, I'm a fairy. You know what is a fairy? Fairy has a wand and says, poof, your wish is granted. You have one wish. What is your wish?
To have more dogs.
To have more dogs. To teach them? I'm talking about your wish. You said we want to improve ourselves as teachers. So what would be your wish if I could fulfill your wish and all of a sudden you have this quality? What would be this one quality you would like to have for yourself as a teacher? New quality that you already don't have, or improved quality?
I think also the journey is important. I mean, how do I reach that stage? How do I learn new skills? It's also important.
Yes?
I do not want to have skills like that. I want to learn.
I have the whole lecture on this topic. So our colleague says, I don't want you to grant me a wish. I want to have this experience, this journey, because this is also how I learn. That's a very important thing in learning theories today, that the journey is what is actually constituting the learning. And there's the whole lecture about it also. Okay, but I would like to torture you a little bit, because what you said is very important. Many of us say, I would like to improve as a teacher. Okay, so each of us has some other idea. What is it to improve? So it's a little bit intimate question, but what would you like to do better as a teacher? I want to grant, you will have to earn this, but what is that you want to have better as a teacher? I would like to have more patience, for instance. Be more creative. Anybody else? To be able to challenge students. Challenging means also motivate, but also give them some interesting problems to solve and to guide them through the process. I have a slide on this. I would like to talk less in the classroom, she says. Good. Anybody else there? What would you like to do better as a teacher? Or what would you like your teachers to do differently, better, improved? To have more fun in classroom. There is my PhD student and myself spent the last 3 years studying cognitive learning theories. Actually, all learning theories and everything that has been written and is digitally available in the past 100 years about how humans learn. And there is a range of studies, and we have an extended bibliography created in Zotero, if anybody is interested. And we have a portal called Learning Theories in English, if anybody is interested, where we try to summarize this. And there is a whole range of research that has been done that has shown that the mood the student is in highly influences learning. For instance, even having a hay fever, like myself now, the allergy, or a slight cold, slight clogged nose, reduces our cognitive abilities. Research has shown this. Worries, hunger, thirst, being tired, but also not being in a very good mood also influence. Having too much fun and being too excited also is not good. So mildly positive atmosphere has been found to be the best for learning. And that's very important. Stress closes cognitive abilities. Stress. Okay, so each of you has some idea, more or less foggy, about improving oneself and being a better teacher. Sure.
I'm interested also in the process, as she said, and I'm really happy when I learn with my students. It's really a great satisfaction.
This is another quality of great teachers, that they are not afraid to show that they don't know, and they have real fun and very frankly openly learn with students and make mistakes with students, and that's fun and that's good, and this is the way of learning. Okay, so somehow we managed to answer, I guess, the answer, why do we need to acquire new skills? Which? What is that we need to learn, and what skills we need to acquire? Again, each. What do you want to learn? Listening to students, okay? What would you like to learn in order to use ICT in education? Flexibility. Patience. What else?
The main thing I want to learn is what is possible and what is desirable. Because it's very easy to go and find out what to do once you know the possibilities.
She wants to learn what is possible and what is desirable. How will she learn what is possible? There's one word. Try. Experiment. That's the only way to figure out what is possible. But the other thing is, what is desirable? In order to figure out what is desirable, which means what yields good results in education, this is science. We need to make a scientific research by scientific rules. Setting up experiment, having groups, more than one, combine this, compare this, study, analysis, and this is not easy. And it's very difficult to figure out what is actually useful, what is not. It's not that easy. Okay, let's focus. You know, we are talking about ICT in education. Everything you said is great, is wonderful, and I'm very happy that you said this. And it's not technologically oriented or connected, because even if you have nothing, you have just your hands in your pockets, you still need this. And this is absolutely wonderful that you said this. I'm glad. But let's talk a little bit more about technology. What do you need? A lot of things, she says. Hardware and software. What do you need to know about hardware? What do you need to know about hardware?
Standard knowledge.
Standard knowledge. What is it, standard knowledge about hardware? I still don't understand you.
How to operate it and how not to spoil it, damage it.
How not to damage. It is nice, it's funny, I'm laughing. But I have a serious question for everybody in this room. Okay? Who knows a person who has damaged computer hardware? Do you believe? Okay, she says the following. I have been working overtime. I worked so long and so much in a hot weather that my computer burned because it was too hot. I am electronics engineer. So I am very arrogant and I believe that I know everything about hardware, of computers, and I'm telling you that it was not your fault. Unless you managed to somehow cover all the ventilation holes on your computer. If you didn't do that, it doesn't have anything to do with you. There is a fault in computer. So basically, I don't know. I worked with many people and trained many people and whatever, and I don't know anybody who damaged a computer. But this is standard fear from people who don't know much. Hey, I'm afraid not to damage a computer. You can't damage it. You can pour water in it. Yes, it's damaged, but you don't do this with your television as well. You can kick it with your foot. It will have less damage than television set. You can drop it on the floor. It will have the same damage as a television set. And are you afraid to damage your television? Probably not. This is this fear of unknown and superior technology. It's not. Don't be afraid. You don't need to know anything about hardware, from my point of view. I designed hardware, I designed computer. But I don't believe that I need anything to know about how the computer operates and what it is inside in order to use it in education. But this is not the point. If you have this urge to understand this, if this is somehow a block in your cognitive process, then go for it and learn what you need. And this is one very important thing in learning as well. If there is something that is bothering very much, and teacher tells you, well, this is not important, we'll talk about it later. It doesn't work that way. We need to help students to overcome this fixation on one object. It's a kind of fetishism. You know. How this formula actually works. How this derivation works. How this disk drive works, or this, whatever it is. Sometimes it's important to us. Let's relieve this pressure. Okay. What in technology you need to learn? Because if you don't need to learn anything, I have to go away. Because the whole my presentation then is pointless. If you know everything about ICT in technology, you don't need any education, you need to learn anything about it, so. Okay, you're a tough audience. I have a question for you. What it means using ICT in education? Aha. Smart guy. I don't know what I don't know, he says. I can't tell you what I don't know because I don't know that I don't know. Oh, interesting concept. Reminds me of my daughter. I can't tell you. Okay, sorry, I'm making jokes. Okay, let me ask you another question. What it means using ICT in education at all? What is it for you? Tool for what? She would like to use ICT in order to figure out what students know and they don't know. Very important thing. Using computers to objectively verify, assess their knowledge. Good. What else do you want to do with technology? Why do you need technology?
I think in the end, the important thing is to get to know how to use technology so that your students learn more and learn better.
Aha! She would like to use technology so that students learn more and learn better. More, I understand. Better, I don't. You have to explain this. Elaborate. You thought you would be sleeping after the lunch. No, you won't. What is learning more significantly?
That they can apply the content they learn in the classroom to their real life needs.
This morning I managed to squeeze out of my schedule 45 minutes to discuss with my PhD student Juraj about something that in a mail message Donald Bly told me. Donald Bly is an honorable scholar and scientist who in 80s or 70s, 80s wrote a book, What Are Lectures Good For? And he was arguing that actually lectures, what I'm doing right now, in first glance, are not very effective in teaching. And he performed quite a number of studies. And I dared to find him on Facebook, send him a message, may I ask you a couple of questions? And he said, why not? He gave me email address. I sent him some things we work, and he was kind enough to respond with his observations and thinking. And Juraj and myself, we are now trying to make a computer program that will actually assess whether a student understands or does not understand. And Donald Bly say, well, what does understanding mean to you? And then we had a lengthy discussion this morning to figure out that understanding is a very vague term, meaning basically nothing, and that everybody has to define what in this specific lecture or module or educational effort the learning outcome should be. Is it application? Is it analysis, synthesis? What is it? So obviously we would like that whatever the outcome we expect is better, is firm, is stable, won't change, will last longer when we do this with students, so that they don't forget it after 1 week, and that they are not those who can apply it to just one example or two cases, and all others they don't recognize, etc. It depends on the definition. Okay, she would like to use it for students to learn more and better. What else? More and better, assessing knowledge. What else do you want?
I'd like to use it so that students have more, can take more charge of their own learning.
Aha.
In other words, the timetable and everything isn't done around me.
Another very good point. She would like to use it so that students don't sit passively and then you pace them. You're a director, you know, you're conducting them, and as you conduct them, they play, and when you stop conducting, they stop. She would like them to take charge. She says, I would like them to take charge, to be those who direct their learning. And I'm here just to somehow moderate, help them, be around, assist them. I don't want to hold their bike and push them. I would like to be there. They are riding the bike, and I'm there just to grip a little bit or a little bit if necessary. Somebody else want to say? What? You would like them to cooperate. Why?
Because it helps learning.
How?
If they cooperate between them, they're
Why it helps? How it helps?
learning things.
Why?
It's much better than they found out the solution by themselves.
Ah.
By cooperating than if I give them the solution straight away.
The lady says, I would like to use technology to help my students cooperate among themselves. Okay, one of the things, to cooperate among themselves. And I keep pushing her, why? Because it's very important. You know, the whole this stuff, like with every new thing, it can easily become fashion. Everybody is using it, everybody, oh, I would like to be the first one, it sounds fun, and that's okay, that's a good reason. But here today, we are to dig a little bit deeper. So what is it that actually we want to achieve, what we hope for? And this is also a very good point, which says, I somehow intuitively expect, or my experience is that when students engage in discussion among themselves, when they argue, when they have a debate, when they disagree, then something in their learning happens. And this is very true, and all new past 30, 40 years, all learning theories support this, and research. Research supports and says, the more you discuss, the more you argue, the more problems you solve, the links in your associative memory, in your brain, in long-term memory, among schemes that you have in there, they become thicker, stronger, and you can better use it later when you need it. Okay, so this is what we want to achieve. So again, which skills do we need? I won't torture you, I will give you some of my answers. You've been brave, you managed almost half an hour with me, and with a barrage of my questions, so let me give you something, but not very long. What I would like to claim, and it's up to you to disagree or agree, that today, when we look at education today and tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, there are and will be differences. There will be changes and some new things, some novelties in education, in learning materials, textbooks. We have printed textbooks, right? Today, most of the textbooks are printed, classical. Then there will be changes in communication in the classroom between us teachers, them students among themselves. There are changes. It's different. And there is also the difference in what we do in face-to-face. When we are in the classroom, in old-fashioned way, you know, there's a blackboard, and I have chalk, and I'm drawing, I'm writing, and I'm giving assignments, and they write something in the notebooks, there still will be some change due to technology. So I would like to concentrate today on these three things: change in learning materials, change in communication in general, and in face-to-face interaction in the classroom. That's what I want to talk today about, and the skills we need to accommodate those changes. So first, learning materials. My claim is that students today, the kids from 6 years to 20-something, expect more and more digital textbooks. Why do they want them to be in digital format? It's easy to find what you need in this textbook. You just search. It's easy to copy, to paste, to rearrange, to reorganize according to your needs. They expect this content to be multimedial, multimodal. That means that it has pictures, photographs, drawings, moving pictures, which means animations, films, videos. They expect, and audio, of course, they would expect this content to be interactive. What does means interactive? Can anybody explain in plain words to my grandmother what is interactive learning material? You can make a change. You can make input and the thing changes. You make input, the thing changes somehow. Either you click with the mouse, or you type in something, or you wave something in the air, or you speak something, or whatever, you move, and there is a reaction. So it's not passive. It's not like a video. I'm sitting in front of a video, and I'm watching a Western. The guy is in the horse. Okay? I can somehow change what is going on. And another very important thing, they are not demanding this very much today, but they will, trust me. They would like to be able to examine by themselves whether they've learned or not, and how much and how well. If fairy would come to me and grant me one wish in education, I would wish to have the ability to assist or not bother those who will do that, to establish one major worldwide Wikipedia-like service where you could go, everybody could go, and verify whether I know and understand what I want to know and want to understand. For instance, do I understand Pythagoras? Do I understand English grammar? Do I understand how to make a chocolate cake? Do I understand how to repair a broken tire? Whatever I want to learn, I read, I learn, I experiment, and I say, okay, do I really know this or not? Now I could go to some Questionpedia and see, oh, I know this 85%. And what I don't know, well, I don't know how to make the chocolate glaze on the top. Okay, let's try to improve my knowledge and skill about it. If we had such a place, then no one would be able to claim, I'm best teacher, they are lazy and don't want to learn. Don't you think so? And nobody could say, I'm great, I know everything, but the teachers are stupid, they don't teach me well. Can you imagine what change, what revolutionary change would be if there would be objective, if it's possible? Okay, so students will try to get this as soon as possible. You will see that. So this is what students expect or demand from teaching at us. Another problem we have with learning materials that today we teachers and we schools and we textbooks that we give them are not the only source they're learning from. We made small research with our students, 800 students, last year, 2 years ago, and we asked them, how do you learn? How do you learn? What is it that you use for learning? What do you think that 800 students at the Faculty of Electrical Engineering on a second year of study said, what is the prime source of learning? Internet, Google? No, that's not. That was not the first one. Wikipedia? No. Sorry? YouTube? Sorry? Parents? No. But you are, lukewarm. Colleagues' notes. They learn from the notes their student colleagues have put down in lectures, this year or last year. 800 students, absolutely dominating source for their learning, as they said, is notes from the students from last year.
Does it mean they photocopy?
I don't know. Probably. Actually, in our faculty, students have built an underground illegal website where they put all materials related to the school. And it would be very important research if we could figure out why. My assumption, I don't have any proof for it, is that they are actually in the mode of not learning the craft, the art, the science. They're in the mode of jumping over the hurdles. They want diploma, Their goal is, Mama, Tata, I have a diploma. And how do I get it? He's a bad teacher. I have to convince him to give me mark. How? I have to learn from her what he wants to know. She has put down this in her notes. This is my assumption. I don't have any proof for it. Okay. So, and these things are on the net, for instance, in our faculty, but somebody photocopies, whatever. But basically, it's going digital. So they can use just anything from the net. Notes, Wikipedia, Google, somebody else, YouTube, you name it, they can use it. But on the other hand, if some kid comes and says, well, I have browsed, I went to the net, but there is a pile of it. And he says, what I do now, then our role is to give them advice. Besides our materials and what we say and what our authorities said that we need to offer them the textbooks, we also need to be able to tell them what is there out there on the net that is good for you in this particular time point of your learning in school. And how can we know this? Only if we, by ourselves, continuously search, browse, investigate what's on the net. And study it. Is it good or not? Is it good? Is it useful? Is it desirable? Even if we don't create materials, we need to evaluate those that are there, which again requires some knowledge. So the first thing is new materials, new learning materials, new types, new styles, new content, new forms. Either we create them or we test somebody else's. And this also requires some knowledge, skill, information, research. Second thing I said is communication. Communication, communication. How does communication change today? Oops, sorry. Communication is increasingly digital. Email, discussion forum. You know, in English language you don't say forums, as well as not informations. Information is information in plural, and forums is fora, because it's Latin word. So many forum is fora. Discussion fora, internet video telephony like Skype. It's not only Skype, but like Skype. And various types of recordings, podcasts, videocasts, and everything else. This is the way we communicate with people. We send them email, we discuss things, we communicate audio or video audio directly with them one-to-one, or we record something and we post it for other people to see. We, teachers, communicate with students, but we also communicate with parents, authorities, and colleagues. If nothing else, proficiency in digital communication is something that we need. As many of you said, we need to be up to date. We have to keep up with other people. We have to be fluent in using email, video telephony, recordings. Every teacher should be able to set up a camera, say 3 minutes of something in camera, and put it on the net so that everybody sees it. Either in a private place or on a YouTube, for instance, or a Facebook or whatever. Okay? That means that we need to gain proficiency in this communication. Anybody opposes? Anybody disagrees? You believe that you can be able to be sociable and employable and useful in 5 years' time without being able to use all this? And finally, the third area is face-to-face interaction, which means classroom. In classroom, we use presentation tools, video and audio, graphical content, animations, visualization of data or processes. We show them things visually. We don't just tell them. We give them graphical representation. This is what is required. There is a theory called cognitive theory of multimedia learning. Richard Meyer, in 90-something, defined this theory. It's based on research that we in our brains don't have one processor. We have many. And we don't process separately, first picture, then audio, then text. We have ability to process visual information and auditory information. Actually, we have ability to process written words, visualization of data, and the picture in parallel. If I write you apple and show you a picture of apple, your brain processes it in parallel. The same is with audio. You can hear my footsteps here and speaking me, and you can process both. Okay, you don't hear. Okay, so the point is, you don't have to stop listening to my words in order to hear steps, not the other way around. So we are able to process all these things. We are also able to process in parallel kinesthetic things, and touching, tactile things, and olfactory things, smells, touches, and movements of our body. If you train people, teach people in some athletics, dance, whatever, acting, then giving them ability to feel their body moving while explaining how to move is beneficial. Because this theory of multimedia learning says that we as humans benefit when in teaching and learning process, more than one channel, and therefore it's called multimodal, more modalities, more channels of information are presented. So if you give them a picture, written words, pronounced, spoken words, and sounds, and smell, and movement, it helps learning better, instead of giving just one. And that's why we use it in classroom. We give them pictures, at least. By the way, you know that already Jan Kaminsky in 17th century has recognized this. Virtual experiments are one very important thing because only computers enable us this. There's plenty of tools on the internet where you can have chemical laboratories, physical practicums, electrical engineering, plumbing, aerodynamics, you name it. There is a beautiful tool called GeoGebra. GeoGebra is so-called dynamic mathematics. It's basically a mathematical lab. You put in a formula and it draws you a curve. You can change parameters in formula and the curve changes. You can experiment first time with abstract things. It's a math lab, wonderful lab. You can speak to a computer and it can judge your pronunciation of a foreign language. You can sing to a computer and tell you whether you're singing off or on. Improper assessment. There are tools that help you in the lecture like this one, and if you want, I can demonstrate you this later on your mobile phones. You can check what they know, what they feel, what's their attitude during the lecture using clickers or mobile phones. We designed an application that is free that you can use with your mobile phones, that students can give you feedback. And what somebody said, collaborative learning and discovery. They work together. You prepare students' assignments so they can work together, and you also monitor what they do when they work together, either physically in a classroom or remotely. So this is all that we change, that we do in classroom. Oops. We incorporate all these things in a classical face-to-face teaching. So, if you agree with me that these are three major areas and these are reasons and things we want to do, so what are the skills that we need? I would argue that we have again three groups. These are technological skills, hardware, creative skills, whatever creative means, and communication skills. Technological skills, information literacy. What is information literacy for you? Try to explain it in words that my grandmother can understand. Dear child, what is information literacy? Researching skills. Researching meaning finding information on the internet. That's research. Or research is when you make experiment in a lab. Finding information. Okay, so it's finding information. Okay, what else is information literacy? I can show you, I know, at least 3 Croatian websites which make weather forecast. And they are not the same. So what else do you need in order to be information literal? Aha! To discriminate among available information and figure out which one you will choose to be your private truth. Because there are 3 weather forecasts, nobody's lying. They have different models. Then you have to decide which one you trust more.
But it's the same with books and anything else.
Oh, she says, this is the same with books. You know, did you ever play tennis or volleyball?
Yeah, I play sport.
Oh, you know when somebody brings you the ball in a perfect position to make a smash. That's what she did now to me. Because she says, the same is with books. Great. Anybody has opinion, what is different in ICT? She's right. I mean, she is right. There are 2, 3, 4 books on the same topic, and they're not the same. But what is the difference in ICT era, in internet era?
Well, when you go to the library, you have fictional facts. So you know what's true.
She says if you go to the library, there is an aisle with fiction and there is an aisle with facts. Okay. More information. What? Books you have to read one by one. Speed. What else? Availability. On internet, there is plenty. Who's writing books? And how many books there can be on one topic? 100? How many websites on the same topic are there probably? Thousands. And who writes this? Every now and then I read a book and ask myself, Jesus, these guys must be really crazy. And who is the stupid editor who published this book? But this is every now and then.
Potentially 6 billion people can write.
Potentially 6 billion people can write this. And what do they know about this topic? Nothing.
Minimum.
So the chance that you are entering sometimes in very nicely formatted, very nicely presented information, which is rubbish, which is lie, or simply incorrect, is much higher than in a library. And quick, speed, immediately, simultaneously, you open many windows. So basically, students, kids, and us, we are exposed to much higher, how do you say this in science? I'm lacking the word. Entropy. Entropy. You are actually faced with, popularly speaking, a lot of rubbish. But which one is it? The one in very ugly, simply old-fashioned style? Or the one nicely presented with a lot of graphics and audio-video materials? Research has shown that we as people tend to give more trustworthiness to information that is nicely presented, where a lot of effort has been put in presentation of information. We believe it's more truthful than the one which is simple. But we know that this is not the truth. It doesn't have to be the truth. Young people don't know this. They don't still have this maturity and life experience, and wonder if they will have it with this internet around them. So a lot of information, a lot of rubbish, differently presented, very easily available, fast going through all of this. So one of the key things in information literacy is not only knowing how to form the question to find the right stuff. Does anybody use advanced searching in Google? Who does? Let me see your hands. Sometimes. I don't very often. Only when I can't find something. Although I know how to use it, but don't use it very often. Who uses something else except Google? Frequently? Yes. Good. I don't. And should. But I don't. Google is not unbiased. Google has his own commercial and political agenda, and information not presented in the way that probably anybody of us would. But it's simple, it's here, and we use it. We should use other sources as well. Information literacy also means being able to publish. It means being able to figure out how to form what you want to say and where to publish it. Is it blog? Is it forum? Is it social network like Facebook, LinkedIn, or whatever? Is it website? Is it mail message? Mass mailing? How? Should it be video or text, graphical, audio, podcast? How? So publishing and making one's own information findable, which means that if somebody puts it in Google, can find your blog, YouTube contribution, whatever. This is also part of information literacy, both receiving and giving. This is equally important for our students as it is for us. Because, listen people, each of you has at least one excellent piece of teaching material that you created by yourself. It should be visible. You need to put effort. Actually, it's only waste for you. You won't get money. You won't get glory for it. But you should, what you do good, show to other people. Because otherwise you won't see other people's good stuff that you can use. It's simply sharing. So you should put some information in learning how to publish information and make it findable. Not only it's there, but nobody can find it. Like mine, most of my texts. I'm guilty more than you. Takes one to know one. Proficient use of office tools. That Word, or if you use LibreOffice or OpenOffice Writer, and spreadsheet and presenter like PowerPoint and other things. We need to be proficient. It should be simple, not research for us to create a table, add a photograph, make footnotes, automate text, generate automatic table of content, table of figures, put in variables, etc. It should be simple for us because it's new pen and pencil. Electronic communications. Multimedia production. Multimedia production means taking somebody else's picture and cropping it, changing colors, cutting things out, enhancing something, adding text and drawings on a picture, and using it. It means taking somebody else's video or sequence of videos, cutting out some things, rearranging sequence, dubbing some own text or somebody else's spoken text, adding music, and creating a new video out of somebody else's. It also means taking a photograph or taking a video. It also means. This is multimedia production. Simply using things to do something. For instance, if you look at my presentation, you will see that most of the pictures, most of the things here, don't have the white square around them, which means I have manipulated them. I have created something that is transparent. I have cut out something that's not important to me. It's very simple manipulation. It's just the beginning of all the manipulations that we need to be able and comfortable doing. And finally, the question is programming. Should you know how to program a computer? He wants to know everything about hardware. Who wants to learn how to program a computer? No thanks, she says. Who wants to learn? There is a crazy woman, she wants to learn how to program. Others say, God forbid. And I say, shame on you. Because every day if you teach, you ask your kids to learn something, they say, I don't need it, I will never need it, and this is stupid. And you say, how can you say this? You have, this is good for you. This is for your own good. You should learn it. Shame on you. I'm guilty. I'm guilty as hell. Because up until like 2 years ago, in my lectures to teachers, explaining them technology, benefits of technology, how to use technology, I told them, hey guys and girls, you don't need to program. You don't need to be fluent in using tools. Let your kids do it. It's important that you understand what can be done and what is beneficial. And let kids who are fast, let them do it. You don't have to learn this. I'm ashamed that I ever said this. And I'm ready to accept my guilt. Because this is wrong. How dare you force them to learn things that they really will never use and really don't need because somebody put it in curricula? And we give them guilt because they don't do it. Those little heads and big heads, we make them feel guilty because they don't want to learn this. And we say, no, I don't have to learn programming. Why? There is a website called W3 Schools. It is so simple. If you go to learn any of these topics here, for instance, JavaScript, which is a programming language behind web pages, you will get half of the screen with a command and half screen showing you what you do. You change the command, you immediately see how it's changing the output. It is so easy to learn that the most stupid person can learn it. Shame on you if you don't try. If you don't like this, use Game Maker. Create simple video games. Kids can do that. You can too, trust me. If it's too complicated, go to Microsoft's Kodu, again programming games. And if this is too complicated for you, then go for Scratch. Scratch is intended for kindergarten children. You don't have to type any command. These, you don't see it well. These are commands. They are like puzzles. You take them from here and combine them here. It's Lego. It's programming like Lego. It's intended for kindergarten kids. Go and learn it. And don't come back here in Zagreb before you learn it. It is fun. He is afraid that he will break a computer. You are afraid that you cannot program. This is not true. Everybody can program. It's simple. It's trivial. And all programming languages are the same. They have a little bit different words, punctuation, but it's the same. Philosophy is always the same. Learn it. I mean, learn it. The most important creative skill, from my point of view, for a teacher is storytelling. Don't give them facts. Give them stories. I had, before university, 6 math teachers, 7 in my life. Only the last one was a good one. And not was he only good one, he was extremely good one. He was marvelous. He was master of math teachers. Do you know how he was teaching us? He would come to the classroom. He was old. He was at the end of his career. He had 40 years of teaching math. He was having troubles walking. He was big. He would come into class and he would say, "Hey, smart guys, I have a problem for you." And he would write the problem on a blackboard. And the problem would be the one who would say, "No problem, no sweat." And he would jump on it. And whoops, it looks simple, but I can't solve it. Oops, and he says, "This is where I was waiting for you. But look at this." And he would show us a magic trick. He would say, "Ooh, what a trick." And then he would say, "Here is a new assignment. Try this with a trick." And he would give us a new assignment. And from that very moment, what happened in the classroom? The classroom was split in 3. The fast ones, those who get it quickly, they would solve the problem. And then he would go, he had papers that small, he would go through them and he would say, "Sinje, this is assignment for you." Then he would go and he would say, "Marie, this is assignment for you." Each of those fast students would get his own private assignment, problem to solve. And he knew that he has 10 minutes time. This is 1/3 of the classroom. Then he would give another example and explanation and another example and explanation. And then he would give a new assignment for the second third of the class. And now he had all the time he needed to focus on those who were slow. And working with them, trying to figure out what is bothering them. The middle one would get assignment for all of them, 2 to 3 in the class in 45 minutes. And the fast ones would get new assignments as soon as they would solve the previous one, which took some time because they got very tough assignments. So they were hushed. They wouldn't bother anybody else. They had something to do. This was storytelling. Because in a funny mathematical way, he told us a story that was interesting, funny, intriguing, and we couldn't solve. It was a mystery. I am literally crying when I hear a history teacher standing in front of the class and shooting facts. 1970, October, Prince, and giving facts. History is philosophy in pictures, in stories. Teaching should be storytelling. Why? Because information is today easily available. Information is everywhere. But the story isn't. Teaching is about telling stories, even in math. And I try doing this when I teach students how internet works, how protocols work, how security attacks work. I'm trying to give them a story, to give them a problem. I'm trying to challenge them to invent solution instead of telling them, oh, this works this and that way. I'm challenging them to invent it. It is not easy. They didn't teach us. There are no, book of stories for internet networking available. I have to invent my own. It takes time, and the lesson can go the other way. How to bring it back is mastery. So storytelling, from my point of view, is the most important skill. What else would you say is the creative skill that you need to master? Any ideas? Any needs? Okay. But I would put it in some other group of skills. Creative, let's go to old-fashioned thinking of creation, creativity. Let's go to the field we call art. What I'm missing, even today, is simple thing of drawing. I need to draw a car, or I need to draw, I can draw a network. Everybody draws network like a cloud. I can draw a cloud. If not, I draw like a bad ellipse. But sometimes I need to draw a face, a car, a running car, falling tree, earthquake. I need to draw it, because pictures mean everything. And I can't. I'm trying to learn how. Drawing, visual expression, like writing words. In this country we have, how many? 4 plus 4, 8 or 7? 7 years in primary and secondary education, children are involved with visual arts. It's called art education and art culture. But nobody teaches us how to draw. They give us paints and say, well, this is spring flowers, draw it. But nobody actually shows you how to do that. Very rarely. It's more trial and error. And I always was very frustrated with that experience, because I wanted to draw. I wanted to paint. I didn't know how, and they didn't show me. Once I was 13 years old, and there was 500th anniversary of peasants' rise, peasants' revolution here in Croatia. That happened in 1473 and led by one Matija Gubec. And they gave us watercolors, and they said, paint the peasants' uprisal. And I was so frustrated. And I was a very nice, very timid, very, very good boy with 13. And I handed over my piece of paper, that big, all black. All black. And my teacher said, Predrag, what is it? I said, and approximately in this tone, this is Matija Gubec meeting his comrades, peasants, in a backyard of his house in a cloudy night without a moon. It was first time that I was disobedient. I was completely outraged, because my desire to paint and inability and nobody helping me finally culminated. I couldn't stand it anymore.
You were creative?
Yeah, I was creative.
Yeah, awarded.
Yeah, sure. And I'm watching this. My kids are now out of primary, secondary schools, and I watch this and the environment. And in many times, many other subjects, it's the same. They would like to express, they would like to learn, they would like to understand, but we just frustrate them because we don't understand what they need, we don't give them. Creative skills are even more so. One thing is learning by heart historical events. Another thing is painting the spring flowers or fruit or whatever, or an event. This also goes for us as teachers. ability to draw something on a blackboard is very important, or for our PowerPoint presentation, or for something else, digital learning material. So besides learning how to tell stories, we need to learn how to draw. Photography. Today, taking a photography is technically very easy, costs nothing. But how to make it aesthetically pleasing, how to make good lighting, sharpness, we need to learn something about it. There is a lot of things on the internet, but we need to know this. And edit, a little bit, cropping, changing colors, resizing. We need basic literacy. So, if you are walking in the city and you see something that you can use in your lecture, you take out your mobile phone, you take a picture, go home, and prepare it for the lecture next day. It should be natural to us. Let's learn it. The same goes for videos. Again, you can use mobile phone to make a video. Hey, people, this is revolution. 10 years ago, you couldn't do that. 10 years ago, it would cost a fortune to do that. If you don't have a camera, you have to buy it. It's expensive. A good one. If you don't have it, if you have to borrow it, it's expensive. Nobody would let you operate it without him. You have to pay him. Editing video, complicated. Digitizing, completely expensive. Today, it costs nothing. Go out and make videos. Tell the whole lecture in your videos, whatever you teach. Biology, sex education, history, technical, physical, whatever you teach, make videos. There is nothing so fun like making video of two creatures having sex. For instance, two snails. It's so fun. Have you tried it? If not, try. Taking a picture of two snails having sex. Great fun. Music. Creating music is the same thing. You don't have to learn piano. You don't even have to know how to read the music sheets. You can still create music. Go to the internet and try to find out how. And visual design. You need to design a logo or something else, or a postcard, or cover of your script or book. People, it's so fun. Every evening, spend half an hour doing something creative on the internet. There are so many wonderful web pages. You can be creative. Every evening you can create something and have fun with it. And next morning show it to your kids and involve them in the competition with themselves and with you. Communication skills. Somebody said listening. Listening is communication skill number 0. The first thing, if you want to communicate correctly, efficiently, usefully, humanly, the first skill we need to learn, acquire, is listening. We talk too much. In lecture, listen to kids. Ask them and let them talk. Somebody said here, I want to stop talking, I want to listen. That's great. Listen. We believe that when we lecture, we have to give you as much information because we are not good teachers if you don't fill them with information. Wrong. Good teacher says nothing. Kids say everything that needs to be said in a classroom. That's a good teacher. How? That's a trick. Listening. Every now and then, on and off, either my kids or somebody from a neighborhood or relatives needs a little bit tutoring in math. And they come to Uncle Predrag. I learned that the most important thing, and it's painful for me as a hell, is to somehow get into that little head and try to understand what he or she sees differently in this math problem than I do. What is it? It doesn't relate to math. It relates to just anything. I remember one evening when my older daughter was 10 years old, and she cried because we couldn't understand each other for some homework she had to do in Croatian language. And when she went to sleep crying, then I realized what she was telling me all the time and what has misled her to the wrong way, something the teacher said in the class in the morning. I simply didn't listen well. I didn't understand what she's telling me. So the most important thing when you tutor somebody or teach in class is to understand them, to listen, to understand what actually they are talking, how they see the thing, and then try to shed light from the other side. So listening. What else is very important in communication? If listening is number one, what else do we think is important? Sorry? Talking, yes. But talking what? I'm lukewarm. I'm also giving to adults like you presentation skills training or lecture training. And one of the most important, half of the day, the whole morning we spend for the commercials and other things to explain them, to actually guide them to find out all the ways they can use to communicate without giving a presentation. So what is the alternative? Sending a mail, writing it in a written, recording it, whatever. The rest of the day we spend in defining messages. You can spend hours talking, or just minutes or seconds. And the only thing that matters is, what will the audience be able to repeat when they leave? Have you ever been in a situation that you were in a lecture and you were so excited, the guy was so fun, or so interesting, or she, and you got so many information and interesting things and jokes, and you were overwhelmed. And you went out and you entered into a friend on a bus station, or you came home and you told your spouse, what a great lecture I saw, what a great lecture. And they asked you, what did he say? And you said, many interesting things. Like, and there was nothing. Have you experienced that? It was truly fun. The guy is really knowledgeable. He gave you a lot of information. It was fun. It was interesting. You were excited. You were motivated to go into this area. But at the end, what was the message? There was none. And it's a huge danger. In trying to master the lecturing skills or presentation skills, there are two pitfalls. There are many pitfalls, of course. There are two pitfalls that I call narcissism. Primitive and simple and less dangerous narcissism is when I like you to like me. And I will do everything that you say, that you smile to me, that you look nice at me, that at the end you pat me on the shoulder and say, it was a great lecture. This is great danger, because I'm doing everything to be likable. The second, more dangerous form of narcissism is when I genuinely want you to have fun, you to have good, pleasurable experience. So I will do anything that is necessary that you feel good in the lecture. And it's more dangerous because I'm fooling myself even more, and you as well. Because the true success in lecture is when leaving the room, of course that you feel good, but when you leave the room, you're able, most of you, to repeat 3 messages. They don't need to be the same, but approximately the same. So when you start lecturing, when you start giving talk, when you start talking to somebody in the elevator for 10 seconds, the main issue is, what is your message? How many messages can there be in a 45-minute lecture? What would you say? 1, 10, 100? I said 3. Oh, I made a mistake. 5? Well, there is a guy called Miller. In '68, he made experiments which were repeated lately by other people, and he claimed that his experiments show that people cannot remember more than 7 things in their short-term memory, plus minus 2. Some other authors later have shown that it's 4 plus minus 2, but it's here somewhere. If I'm trying to dictate you numbers like 5, 4, 6, 5, 7, 7, 3, 1, 5, 8, can you remember? No. 8 was last. This is the short-term memory. This is the place where our understandings and grasping new concepts happens. And really, be it 10 seconds in an elevator or 45 minutes lecture, without reading the notes, we cannot remember more than maybe 5, but preferably 3 things. So when you are designing something, people who leave the room, regardless how small or big they are, you should design it for 3 major messages. Of course, we can play tricks when we say how we have 3 major messages, each has 3 sub-messages, so we can play tricks a little bit. But hey people, that's it. It's not 19. It's not 25. You see? So another important skill is communicating messages. So what is it in this whole lecture I'm going to give? The most important. Something that will be anchor, that will stay long in these heads. And it will be anchor to all other knowledge they will acquire later and they will master later. What are the anchors? What are the main points? How to create them? It's a skill. Sure.
We have to understand something and remember all the messages at the same time after the course.
This is where, that's a good question. The question is, do we have to remember all messages that were given during the course, during the lecture? Of course not. This is where writings, notes, handing out notes happens. I'm sorry that you didn't receive printed notes for this my lecture, because I always do this. I deliver them up front because it has been shown again by experiments that you cannot transcribe from the blackboard and listen to what I'm talking carefully at the same time. It's impossible. Only if I dictate you. So basically we should take all effort that audience has everything important and that's presented on the paper, so that the only thing they write down is their own thinking. So of course not. It's important that you have the important grasp of what's been in, and then your notes, later going through the notes and reading and exercising, is the one that gives you all other information. Detecting misunderstandings. Detecting misunderstandings means that we are so often in error. We so often believe that we understand each other because we speak the common language, but actually we don't. If you take a lawyer, a historian, and electrical engineer, 20 years ago we tried to create a website when the web just became to existence, a website, short history of Croatia. It was war, and we wanted everybody outside of Croatia to understand something about Croatia in a popular and short way. And we have engaged with the Croatian Institute for History. And one of our engineers, after several meetings with them, came back utterly frustrated. And he said, Predrag, those historians, the unit of time for them is 1 month. Nothing can happen earlier, sooner. If you take lawyers and engineers or philosophers and doctors and etc., you will see that many terms like soon, exact, truthful, have different meanings. In practice, these are these internal cultures. The same thing is among national cultures, like when you go in Latin America and you agree for a meeting and they say, well, we'll meet at 11 o'clock. Well, it means maybe at 1. If you go to the north of Europe, that's it. If you go to Japan, that's it. So the same thing is in a class. When you talk, when you give some examples, yeah, we understand. Always check, do we really understand each other? Be quick to find out about misunderstandings. Mediation. In classroom, people fight. People discuss. The smaller the younger the audience is, the more spontaneous fight you have. Mediation is one very important skill. The more in the past, when the role of the kids in school was only to listen and be obedient towards the teacher, there was less chance for their fight in the classroom during the lecture. Today, when you want to engage them in discussion, in solving problems, putting them in groups, there's much more opportunity for them to disagree and fight and have arguments. It's a very important role of teacher as a mediator to peacefully and as quick as possible resolve this because you have teaching to do. Talking to parents, talking to other colleagues, talking to authorities and to the public is also important. And this is public relations. And acting. For me, every lecture I do is monodrama. I never read, I never have a script, I have bullets, I think about it beforehand, and then I live it. My lecture is living it. It's monodrama. Acting doesn't mean to be dishonest. Acting in the classroom, in lecture, doesn't mean pretending to be somebody else. Acting means using all your expressive powers to stress the points, to guide the audience to the thing that you believe is most important. Examples, metaphors, language, body language, suspense, drama, dramatization. These are all elements of a good lecture. If you look at all those endless American TV shows describing situations in American courtrooms, then we with pleasure observe those lawyers fighting and creating drama. That's it. It's drama. And above all, my dear colleagues in teaching, learn English and learn it well. Because it's language of all of us that we can understand in, and the most of materials and tools are created in English. Proficiency in English, regardless which English. It was fun once in a lecture. The lecture, it was happening somewhere in Europe. The lecturer, who is a Scot, married for South African woman and living in South Africa for 20 years, born in America and lived in America. He brought us materials and said, "Oh, I've mistaken. It was in international. They are written in international English. I should have brought European English." And we were laughing. We thought he was joking, but in a pause, in a break, he went to his room and brought another set of the same materials, and it said European English. We couldn't believe it. There are many different English languages. Don't care. Learn any English, but learn it well. To be able not only to quite well understand what's written, but also to express yourself. And finally, what we need to learn are education skills. We need to profoundly understand how humans learn. There is plenty of material on the internet. I will be more than glad to share with you our portal with learning theories, where we try to squeeze each learning theory in one screen. It's wiki technology, like small Wikipedia, with examples and bibliography. It's not complicated. I have lectures, not in English currently, but with a little help of our friends I will, that explain some 5 basic theories: theory of memory theory, theory of schemata, theory of assimilation, cognitive load theory, and cognitive theory of multimedia learning. 5 simple theories that explain how we actually learn. Why is it important that the students understand why they learn it? Why is it important that we give them as little as possible? Why is it important that they exercise as much as possible? Why is it important to use examples, metaphors, analogies, and so on? Learn about it. Learn about student-teacher interaction. What happens in this thing? There's plenty of nice, useful, practical information on the net. And we need to learn how to teach continuously. Understanding theory and applying it to practice, observing other people. Look, learn from the net. Go to places like this one. Learn from other people. Go into classrooms. Look what they do. And it's important, as I told you, that you show what you do to other people. When you show, you will learn, and they will learn. And by mentoring young educators. Why? Why would you benefit from mentoring younger educators? Why? What is your benefit from teaching young teachers how to teach? What is your benefit? You can learn from them. Did you ever hear, not to mention experience, the saying which says, I learn the best when I try to teach others? Have you experienced that? I have one small anecdote from my life. When I was preparing first time a lecture about the internet, almost 20 years ago for my students, I set off my family to country and spent the whole weekend at home preparing for this. When I came back, my wife asked me, have you been successful? I said, well, I think I have. I have not read, but I went through all these books. It was 4 books jointly that high. And she said, you can't be serious. You won't be telling them all this? And I looked at it and I said, no, I will not be telling them anything from these books. But I had to go through this material in order to understand what I'm going to teach them. In order to fully understand things, to be able to teach, I had to go through all this. One thing is applying something and doing it well, but when I have to explain to her how she can do that, then I'm actually bringing this to consciousness. I'm starting to understand processes. I'm better understanding what I do, how I teach. Therefore, teaching others is one of the best ways to learn by yourself. Because you make things conscious. You make things in a way that you understand. So mentoring young educators is not only good for them, it's not only good for your feeling good, it's good for your learning as well. So, the ways of learning and teaching change. Thus, teachers need to change the way they use and create learning materials, communicate, and work in face-to-face. For this, we need technological skills, creative skills, communication skills, and I'm missing here educational skills. And I urge you to learn how to program computers and to learn how to draw, at least. And hope to meet you once again, or receiving your email with your recent cartoon and drawing and little program that makes fun of me, or whatever. Basically, this is what I wanted to share with you today. Yes, they need to support us in more than one way, but yes, we have to learn. But this have to is actually fun. Isn't it fun to learn to draw or play music or make a photograph or program a computer? And you know how much fun will it be when you manage that you speak almost nothing during the class and kids discuss and have learned a lot and you watch them. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. Teaching, being a teacher, it's not easy. In many countries, teachers today are not well-respected profession. There are countries where they are. In many countries, they are not. In many countries, their wages, their money they earn is not spectacular, sometimes is average, and in some countries it's below average. In this country, my diagnosis of an educational problem is one word: parents. The biggest problem I see in this country is parents. Their attitude to knowledge, their attitude towards learning process, and their attitude towards schools and teachers. This is very wrong in this country. And then we come to the school, to the position of social position of teachers and financial resources for education, etc. But the parents are the prime problem in this country, from my perspective. So yes, there are many problems in teaching. But on the other hand, I think that teaching is the most privileged profession in the world. We get to be paid. We get some resources of the country to spend the part of the day when we are most productive. with young brains in the time of the day when they are most productive, in the effort to create them, to form them in better human beings than we are, I really cannot imagine more desirable job, at least for me. And I would urge you to think about it and find inner energy and inner joy in the fact that we get to teach them. Sometimes stupid and unnecessary things in a not productive ways. Children who are not motivated, whose parents are, allow me to say, stupid and aggressive, in an environment which does not always respect what we do. But hey, we get to teach them.